Graham, good to see you.
Great to see you, Paul.
And thanks for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I wanted to kick off the interview by asking you about a statement that you made when we were talking a little while ago. You said to me, we want people to stay in the real world, which, given that most of the time I'm talking to people about tech and it's all about getting people into the tech world rather than the real world, I thought it was a bit of an odd statement, although I'm sure it's pretty important to you. I mean, why did you say that and why is that important?
Well, I think as an ADHDer, I kind of think about ADHD to myself as just a couple of things. Number one is that your brain is just super busy, and I don't mean like you have lots on your mind. I mean it's humming constantly all day
Yeah.
long, all night long. And I think when that happens, and a certain situation will happen, let's say someone looks at you just a slightly different way than you think. Instead of what most people would just kind of like, oh, that was weird, and move about their day. When you have ADHD, you're going to spend all day, maybe all week, maybe all month ruminating on that one little look. And what happens when we do that is we start to build this fantasy in our head, like what we think that they were thinking, what we think they might have wanted, what we think they were going to ask us. And that will go and go and go. And because we've thought about it so long and so intently, that fantasy becomes our reality. And it's hard to like disassociate all of that from what you've been thinking. Like, you'll go up to the person and say, hey, last week when you looked at me funny, like, why would you do that? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? But we've thought about it so strongly that we feel like, what do you
Yeah.
mean, what am I talking about? And so for me, ADHD, and the reason that we love paper products is I think paper products keep you connected to the real world. And as an example, like, this is one of our little on-track cards, but when I have something that I think about, I take out this piece of paper, I write it down, it goes back in my pocket, and I stay connected to the real world. I haven't gone to my phone and to write the thing down or type the thing down, and then been distracted by my Instagram, by my Facebook, by my
Mm.
email, and then been mentally exhausted, and then tried to remember what I wanted to write down. Or if I put it down, it doesn't have the same impact to me anymore. I'm just, so I think that's sort of what we want to do. We want to help you with a really busy ADHD brain stay connected with simple paper-based tools that make it easy to stay productive and positive.
I mean, I'm a huge believer in paper. I mean, I keep paper-based notebooks and write down my to-do list every day, and so I'm a great believer in the kind of the paper-based world, if you like. Tell me about what you're trying to achieve with your business, though. I know it's about paper-based products rather than tech products in the conventional sense, although of course paper's a form of technology. Tell us what you're trying to achieve.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is very simply, we're trying to be the world's first, which we have become, front-facing ADHD retail company, where we've made these great products, and many people said to us, "Oh, these are awesome. You could use them for anybody. Maybe you should just take that ADHD off the top of the thing, right? And just say, well, this is what you're doing." But what we really want is, in this day and age, most people spend their time on the phone, on the internet, but
Yeah, yeah.
there's no real practical tools, I feel, that are technology based. I mean, they may help for a bit. They may help when you have your dopamine excitement and the first week is great. But a lot of those tools come with the notifications and the things that draw you back to that tool. And I think what that does is it takes you away from being, from doing, from being productive and thinking about your mental
And
health.
how did you get onto that track? I mean, I can see what you're saying, and I've got a lot of sympathy for your point. How did you kind of get onto that track though? Because it's everybody else is thinking about how to use tech to do things, and you're doing the opposite. I mean, how did you
Well,
get onto that?
I think it's just one of those cases where the tool worked for you. I was a award-winning restaurateur before I started this venture, and the way I was successful was I would make lists, but I would make these lists anywhere, right on the back of a chewing gum packet, on a receipt, scrap anything I could find to write down all these lists in my head, and then I would just crush these lists all day long. But it wasn't really um, it was being productive, but not really positive. I wasn't really thinking about my mental health in this stage. I was just trying to get things done.
Yeah.
And I as realized that the tools I was using were sort of okay. I made it for myself, just my basically like my on track card. I printed off at home just for myself, and I didn't know I had ADHD till I was 45. But when I found out I did, I went online like most people, looking for, okay, well, I've got this condition or this brain setup. What are the tools I use? And I couldn't find any. I couldn't find any tools that were actually made for my ADHD brain. Simple
So
to
what
use.
let me just ask you, what sort of tools have you developed then? I mean, I'm quite interested. Just give us a flavour of some of the things that
Yeah.
you come up
Well, sometimes when your brain is busy and you need to get your thoughts out, but you just
with.
don't know what to do. Here's a really simple example. It's called a brain dump sheet. It's basically just a bunch of thought circles that you can write on and write anywhere. And when you have ADHD, it can be extremely therapeutic just to start writing it out, to like
Yeah,
let the steam kettle of thoughts just kind of go and you write
yeah,
it out. And it's great. It leads you on some wonderful paths. Simple things like this is my favorite little task hub, simple straight lines, simple, easy tasks, see what you have to do. But I think that's what our tools are based on, the traits that we have. So like medication and symptom tracker, object permanence tracker, things like don't forget to call your mom, don't forget to feed your fish. Very simple things that can help someone with ADHD on a day-to-day basis. And what I like to call is the now moment. ADHD is a now condition. We don't think about the future. Definitely don't think about the past. We're concentrating on right now because our brains are so busy.
yeah.
And if you
So
can put the
let me ask you about that. You just talked about that, people with ADHD focus on the now, and I get that. I've got a number of friends that have got ADHD, and I totally get that. How did you come up with the idea to turn? I mean, what essentially things that would go in a notebook. I mean, I use mind maps is the thing I use. I mean, but they're essentially things that you could put in a notebook. The things that I mean, how did you think? How did you come up with the idea to turn that into a business? And I mean, I mean, that's quite an interesting sort of leap.
Yeah. Well, I think when I went out looking for tools and couldn't find them, I realized that the tool that I had made in my back pocket for myself, was what people were looking for. They were looking for ways to be productive, ways to like concentrate on their positive mental health. And I realized, well, maybe I'll just put these little doohickeys online to see if people want to buy this type of thing. And then, sure enough, people started buying them. The world's top ADHD doctors were like, "Hey, that's a really great tool." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." And then with my partner Claire Butterfield and I, we just sat down and said, okay, well, what are the things that people need to like write down, need to have like to do on their own personally? And I think that's where we just realized that we're going to take our core ethos of being productive and positive, and make these sheets based for the smaller components instead of trying to change your whole life with one worksheet. We're like, no, if you have trouble building a habit, here's a really simple habit tracker, not with 1,000 things on it, but just simply, I wake up, I check off my thing, and I feel great. I'm being productive, and there's there's a lot of science and tech and study behind just the benefits of writing things down, how it correlates and remembers in your brain, and we just think that simplicity is what an ADHD mind needs. We don't need the complexity. We just need it now. We need to solve a problem now. That's it.
And what are you building towards? I mean, just give us a flavour of where you're going with this, because I mean, tell me I'm wrong, perhaps, but it seems to me there's a lot of people that have ADHD and would find this stuff
Millions.
useful. I mean, what's your, where are you going?
Well, I think we want to be like we just want to be in every retail shop out there. We want to let people with ADHD know that there are tools that actually work. There are ways that you can slowly build productivity and positivity over time. And so our goal is to continue to just push forward through larger companies to let them know that there's HR tools available. And, instead of trying to Instagram our way to 1 million followers, and we don't want to be, that's not what our ethos is. Our ethos isn't come and spend all your time online. Our ethos is, we're your destination. We just want you to come get what you need. And then, oh, sorry, we're your station, not your destination. Come get your tools and get back out there in the real world and keep living a positive life.
Yeah. And what would you like your legacy to be? I know you're kind of still relatively early on the journey, but what would you like your legacy to be eventually?
Well, I think just that we're a company that really cares about the people that use our products. We I think in the internet, it's extremely easy to math helps you break down things to numbers, right? Where people become a number. Hey, if we put $1,000 into this ad, our ROI will be this, and we'll see this percentage. But we're not really talking about the human beings, the people that are actually buying your product. How is it affecting their actual day to day? And I think because we've seen and heard people saying things like, "Wow, this has really legitimately changed my life," or "Hey, thanks for being there and doing what you're doing." Those things just give you the clarity that this is what you should be doing. And if my legacy ends up and Claire's being that made it really easy for people with ADHD to be positive and productive, then we've accomplished our goal.
Yeah. And one of the other things that you said to me that stuck in my mind, you said that you didn't feel technology was the way to solve the kind of mental health issues that are around at the moment. I mean, just tell us a bit about that thinking.
Well, I think we grew up with well, I'm 50, so I was there before time, right? Before internet came out. And I think when it first came out, it was very exciting, right? The concept of being able to go online to Facebook and have someone from your high school that you hadn't seen in 10 years
Yeah.
reach out to you and you could talk to them instantly was really fascinating. And it was really positive and it was a really beautiful thing. But obviously, as it's gone forward, it's changed very much since it's like sort of
Yeah.
organic days. And I think what we do is we've learned to look to the internet to be our solution for things. Right? I'll just Google it. I'll just chat GPT it. I'll just figure it out like that way. Instead of doing what we used to do is communicate with each other, ask friends, ask family, do some research, get a real understanding for things. And I think when it comes to ADHD and we go online to find a solution, well, technology and distraction is the opposite of what we need.
Yeah.
We're dopamine based. We are in the now moment. And when you open up that phone to do something that might feel good, like get an answer or a solution, it can just take your ADHD brain into so many places and exhaust you and make you just feel like I just need some couch time to just recover from the hour I was scrolling or the hour I was stuck in my email. And I'm not technology adverse by any means. I think Google is a fantastic thing to get those answers if your child is sick, to to do some research. But I think when it comes to your personal mental health, I think people and connection is what makes mental health great. To be able to have a conversation,
Mm.
to get a better understanding of who you are and what you do. And so yeah, I think there's pros and cons, but I don't think it's the answer for ADHD by any means.
Yeah, I can follow your logic there, and I think you made a good point. What can I just ask about young people who are kind of growing up with ADHD? I mean, have you got a particular thoughts about their needs and how to work with them? And we've been talking really about older people like us, perhaps using it, but what about young people?
It's really funny. As I've spent the last 25 years in the restaurant business, as I've got older, excuse me, I keep staying with the same 20-year-olds, watching their habits change, their opinions change. Like drinking is a classic one, right? When I grew up, everyone was drinking, and now nobody drinks, right? They know the knowledge of its negative impacts. And I think I remember when I was 20, you'd always say no one understands me. And it's true, right? I would never suggest that I understand how a 20-year-old thinks, but I do know that um, they're not slackers. They're not any of these things that we label them with. They are other humans growing up in a different world than we grew up in. And I think there's an understanding and an awareness now that social media can be beneficial. It can be great to have a group of friends, but there's something different between online friendship and a real world friendship. And I think people who are in their 20s struggling with ADHD really appreciate the writing down tools, the making a simple list, the ability to have someone help you stay off of that phone for an extra 25 minutes to an hour a day can be a really, really beneficial thing.
And how have employers responded? Because I mean, a lot of what you're talking about is
Yeah.
helping people cope in the workplace, isn't it? I mean, okay, it's not just about the workplace, but coping in the workplace, pretty important aspect to it. I mean, how have employers responded to it positively?
Really, yeah, quite a bit. I mean, we've got our products in the hands of the people at Disney, which is really exciting. There's a really large independent pharmacy chain here called PharmaSave, and we're speaking with their doing a whole like sort of like a lunch and learn with their corporate team,
Wow.
because there are millions of people with ADHD, and if you ask anybody in any workplace, they know lots of people that have it, and we're trying to motivate and to get these people to do things through technology, right? Technology doesn't necessarily work all the time. A lot of
Mm.
people with ADHD want to be creative, they want to be spontaneous. Deadlines are only good as my now deadline, and giving them practical tools to help them see that they can fit in the workplace just slightly differently, with different tools, can be really, really great. And I think we're seeing a lot of corporate appreciation for the simple ability to like write tasks and get them done. And one of the things I talk about a lot is with technology, we can look at a calendar and see 1,000 things that we need to do.
Yeah.
But the reality is, in one day, how much can you really do? Right? Maybe 10 things in a day, right? Maybe even 6. And if you did 6 things a day all month, like that's 180 things you'd accomplish in a month. And I think stretching out our timelines when you have ADHD and knowing that you can just do step by step really, really makes a big difference in your productivity and also your positivity, because you're not feeling guilty that you're not getting all the stuff done that you want to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm a bit like that, I have to say. Let me ask you about being the CEO of a company that is not conventionally tech based. I mean, how do you feel about doing something so different? Because I mean, everybody else is focusing on the tech.
Yeah.
You're saying we're not going to do it that way. I mean, how does it feel to be the CEO of a company that, if you like, is, the world is going zig and you're going zag? I mean, how does that feel?
Well, you know what, Paul? It feels great because of ethos. Claire and I, when we first started the company, we spent most of our time talking about ethos, not about business structure.
Yeah.
We are not doctors. We just have a ton of lived experience. We're both high performing ADHDers, and we wanted our company to not get stuck in the. We wanted to really approach ADHD as something that can be positive, that you can work on, you can make positive like strides with it. And we didn't want to be all about, you just need to come to the internet and to our Twitter and to our Instagram, because it's kind of against the ethos of what we're trying to talk about. And I think when you have ethos as your grounding first, it makes everything else quite easy. We're really stoked to be approaching businesses in a different way. Instead of Instagramming through the millions, we want to talk to corporate leaders. We want to say, hey, this is a great tool for your business. We should be talking. I love phone calls, so it's great when I just call Dr. Barkley and he actually answers the phone and we have a chat about low tech products and, or Dr. Halliwell, like just being able to talk to people. Like we feel like we have to do certain things or have a certain amount of followers before you can talk to people. And but people all want to help each other out, and it's great to be able to do that.
Yeah. And is there anything that, if you like, that you've learned in the restaurant business that has kind of transferred across to help you build this business? Because I mean, again, I mean, what you're doing is pretty different from running a restaurant, I would have thought, isn't it? I mean, is there stuff that's transferred across from your previous experiences?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's for anyone who has run a restaurant or managed a restaurant or worked in one, you realize that there's a million things going on, which is one of the reasons why restaurants are one of the most popular places for people with ADHD to work. Stimulus is always happening. It's always something different, tons of rewards coming at you with dopamine. And I think when it comes to running a business, a restaurant has about 10,000 details you have to take care of. And a business may have, even if you focus on 10, you're doing really great. And I think it's wonderful to take the experience of a restaurant and to know that at the end of the day, what most businesses I think make them really successful is when they're genuine. My restaurants were successful. Did we have great food? Yes. Great wine? Yes. But lots of other places had that. But we were a restaurant filled with positivity, with honest connections, with being genuine. And I think when you can make a company truly be its genuine self based on ethos and who you are and what you are, then I think it really translates.
And
Really, really well.
is that what you would say you translated to this new company? Is that what's
100%.
making it successful? And what
Yeah,
is
it's
it
just
about that? What is it about that in particular that is making it work?
it's a simple human connection. It's the ability to actually talk to someone. When someone orders one of our products, like I call them up and just say, hey, thanks for ordering. It's Graham. Like I hope it treats you well. Here's a few of my favorite tips. Here's a couple of my personal philosophies around ADHD, and a 30-second conversation with a customer. I know if someone did it for me, I would be like, oh, thank you so much. Like that's a great tip for putting my barbecue together. Really appreciate the call, And I think I know that we all love it when another human is nice to us. Doesn't matter what the scenario. And I think you can build a business on that. You can build a business based on good values, just like the old days, right? And instead of just a number basis. And I think it really shows up. People really feel it. People really understand that you care enough about your product to make these phone calls and to put yourself in these situations.
And hospitality is all about being nice to people, isn't it? Connecting with
Yeah,
people. I mean, that's
it's
what
not that
hospitality
hard.
is based
It's
on.
just got to be nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
give out a couple extra hugs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And as you've been building the business, have you had any, because like I say, it's a very different kind of world that you're in now. I mean, have you had any surprises along the way where you've thought, oh God, I didn't think it would turn out quite like that? I mean, you had been
Yeah, we've
stuff.
had lots. Sure, there's tons of iterations that we've had. You know, we kind of launched a company going into an industry that is kind of like segmented and kind of all over and kind of reaches everybody. You know, there's grandparents with ADHD, there's kids with ADHD, teenagers, university students, so many. And trying to kind of see where your importance lies, who actually is resonating with your product, who really wants to use it. It took a while. It took us a few different avenues to really realize where we wanted to focus on. And I think what we wanted to focus on was just being in front of people, not online in front of people, but present in front of people when they're in touch with that real world. You know, when you walk into an Indigo Books, like here in Toronto, or in Toronto, sorry, now you can actually see it in front of you, and a tool that says ADHD right on front of it, you know, that says, hey, this is going to work for you. And it's been great to work with those retailers that care about mental health and know that we're a simple tool that requires no prescription from a doctor, requires no education on how to use it, just simple tools that help. And I think that's what makes it so fun, is that we just have found our niche. Our niche is just being in the retail world, where you can see it, touch it, tangibly fix it.
Yeah. And have you built tools for people in the restaurant or the hospitality business? I mean, is there sort of a
Well,
back connection, if you see what I mean?
yeah, I think we've taken. I think that's sort of like the next phase of our program. Right now, we've taken general based, trait based tools is what we've built, right? So if you have trouble remembering things, like to call your mom, like those object permanence things, you know, we have that tool. Or if you have trouble being positive, which a lot of people do, they struggle with their negative self-talk. And we have a gratitude sheet, which takes, you know, 4 minutes to fill out, but just kind of helps connect you to positive things. And we do have tools that we're building for specific industries, right? For universities, students, for even construction companies, for all the different companies where ADHD really lands, you know, and that's in a lot of workplaces. And so I think, yeah, there's tools for restaurants. Sure, you could simply use one of our priority planners, and it would be a great way to take some of those 10,000 details and work them down into a few sheets. Or use our on-track cards just to remember to, hey, don't forget to bring my corkscrew, my apron, you know, and my float for work. You know, it's the simple things that we need to keep track of. It's not the big, huge things. Day by day, step
Yeah.
by step.
Yeah. And let me ask you what you've learned from the experience. I mean, this is a very, like I say, it's a really different thing to what you were doing before. I mean, what would you say you've learned from going in? I mean, when you first started talking about it, not today, but when we spoke previously, part of me was thinking you've gone at a complete tangent to what you were doing before. I mean,
Sure.
what have you learned from going in a totally different direction?
Well, I think that it's very well. I think there's lots of positives, but there's also tricky parts, like constantly thinking about your own personal mental health can be at times kind of exhausting, especially when you have ADHD and you're constantly thinking about, am I making my choice or an ADHD choice? You know, I think that can be just a tiring game that you play with your busy brain.
And
And
how do you, I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, how do you manage that then?
well, I manage that through the actually trying to take the things that I know and implement them in my
Right.
day-to-day life. And so I think it's about slowing down. It's about trying to not accomplish everything that you want to do. I had a friend of mine give me a great analogy that our thoughts are like a tea kettle. You know, they're not all meant to be kept in there forever. We just got to let them go. They just got to be thoughts that just kind of go into the ether. And I think that's one of the things I try to now focus on, one task at a time. I I think this has helped me so much, is to spread out my timelines. If I really want to accomplish something, and if you said to someone, okay, well, you could have that thing in 10 days, or you could have it now, but you'd still get it in 10 days, and it would be a lot easier to accomplish it by just doing small things. You're like, okay, that would sound great. So I think it's playing the hard game of taking the things that you know and actually applying them to real life, which applies to anything.
And, have you changed as a result of that, would you say? Are you a different kind of CEO now to the way you were when you were perhaps running restaurants?
Oh, infinitely, Paul.
In
And I'm
what way?
talking
Just tell us in what
infinite.
way then.
Oh, I could tell you a thousand ways. Number one, before when I ran the restaurants, they were successful based on my ability to hire genuine people, to show genuine support, to build a great product. But on the business side of things, I didn't know myself. I didn't know I had ADHD. I didn't know why I did the things I did. I knew I had like a hitch, like this sort of block I couldn't get past.
Mm.
And it's because I made impulsive decisions. I didn't want to let people down, so I gave away too much. You just do things that because you don't know who you are. And I think I've said this ad nauseum to lots of people who I coach through small business, is that the more you know yourself, the better business that you'll do. Like when you know why you make your own decisions, it makes it really easy in a business workplace to not, to go like, whoa, wait a second. I know that's like a little trap for me where I would normally like say no, but because of who I am, I want to say yes in that position. So I find that I am an infinitely better person than I was before, infinitely better at business, and infinitely better at just about everything by just actually paying attention to like who I am and why I do what I do. It just makes it so much easier to be that influence that you want to be when you're leading your regular life.
Yeah, it's a funny thing that. And let me ask you about the flip side. Let me ask you about mistakes. I mean, most entrepreneurs I talk to, spend their lives making mistakes and then trying to figure out how to, undo the mistake that they've made. I mean, what's your take on? I mean, what would you say is the biggest mistake you've made, and what did you learn from it?
Holy, I've made tons of mistakes. I think I think that entrepreneurship, when has a bunch of trappings, right? Um, the next shiny object, right?
Yeah,
Maybe some people. I think it's important to know where you belong best in the stage of business. There's the just the ideation, like the idea of the business. There is the taking and growing that idea. That's like another job in itself. There's the launch of an idea. There's building back ends. There's the continuation of a business, like someone who wants to see it grow, not just be given birth to. And then there's someone who needs to be great at saying, hey, this business is not working. It's time to stop and take it apart. And I think so. For me, the mistakes I've learned are that I love building. I love the idea. I love creation. And some of the things I need to work on are just my ability to stay connected to it. And I do that now because now I know myself. I've taken what I love the most, which is talking to people like yourself or a CEO of some big company, and having that conversation. That's what I love. I love talking with people. And I don't love being on Instagram all the time. I don't love that type of sales. I just love talking with people about making a positive impact in someone's life. So that's what I focus on. And that always will help me continue to grow this business. So mistakes, now I know that I love startup, love creation. And what I work at is knowing that my weaknesses are just, I have to reframe them into how I operate day to day.
and let me pick up a point you've just made there. I mean, what would you say are the things that have made the business successful? I mean, you talked about, you doing the things that matter to you. What were the other things that have made the business successful, would you say?
I think it's great partnership. Claire and I work extremely great together. We both are aware of each other's ADHD and our different
Right.
tangent lives. And I think putting yourself in the right position, to put yourself in a position of, I love explaining and teaching. I find it's just so much fun. And we've got this new product that, you're right, is very yin to the yang of world, and being able to talk about it and explain it to people and to see the positive impact, that feels like it really suits me. And I think to be great in business, doing what you love, and not just what you love, but in a style that works for you, feels great. So I think for us, it's our commitment to bringing things back to the ethos, and then actually going out there and doing it. We're both go-getters, and it's fun. It's fun.
And what is it about that process that you enjoy the most? I mean, what is it? what is it? I mean, most of the entrepreneurs that I've talked to describe running the business as riding a roller coaster. You know, there are good days, there are bad days. I mean, what
Yeah.
is it about this that motivates you to kind of jump out of bed and get stuck in every day? I mean, what is it
Oh,
in
well,
particular?
it's positive impact. When you that's why I love the restaurant business. To have someone say to you, man, that experience of that dinner was beautiful. It was so amazing. You know, the when you go to a bank, you never leave the bank and you go, oh, that vibe was so sexy. It was so great, gorgeous. I had such a lovely time. Like, no, you go and you do a transaction.
Yeah.
And in the restaurant, you leave and you talk about the emotion that you had. Oh, it was so beautiful. Oh, I felt so romantic, or oh, it was so energetic, or you know. And I think this company, we have that same result.
Right.
When you
Okay.
talk to someone, they give you back a feeling that they had, not a transaction. You know, they don't go, oh, that was really great value. I never have heard that. They always say, wow, like I haven't been this productive in years, or uh, I tell people to write down on their daily card something positive, like give yourself a hug, or I'm a good person, because I did that for a full year because working on my positive mental health. And people say, like, man, I haven't felt that positive about myself in a long time. And that's what makes me want to get out of bed. That's what is so exciting about what we're doing, is giving people a real tangible way to feel good. Simple as that.
Mhm. Well, I mean, nothing wrong with making people feel good, it seems to me. That seems to be a
Uh,
winning proposition, really.
yeah.
Let me ask you a couple of final questions before we wind up. So, if you were starting from scratch, is there anything you'd do differently if you would start, coming at it again?
Well, I think hindsight's always 2020, and there's always different ways that you would look at it. But I think when you are grounding your company in ethos, there's going to be things that you're going to look back on and go, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. We
Yeah.
should have maybe done this. And I think that's what has helped us take that sort of twisty turns of new business, and always kind of come back when we would see things aren't really feeling right to like where we want to be. And I think that's helped guide us. So things we would do different again, probably tons of stuff. But I think by starting with ethos, it's always felt like it's come back to the right spot.
Yeah. No, I can see that. And in terms of the next step, I know you're quite ambitious for this. I mean, what is it that excites you about the next bit of the journey that you're going to be going on
You
to?
know
Because
what? Oh yeah, you said to me when we were first chatting about building companies different ways.
yeah,
The idea of like CEO, CFO, and that sort of that pyramid of people. It doesn't have to be that way, where you can be one or two people and you can open up a global business. And I think that's what we're doing. We're kind of in the final stages now of having some big corporations launch our products, see our products in their workplace, and we know that we are on the tipping point um, of true like awareness and adoption of people going back to paper and pen, knowing that there's other ways to fix their problems on the internet. And so for us, it's going to be doing that, being a global company in a really positive way without thousands of people around us, just building really um, positive association with ADHD, productivity, and positivity. And it's an exciting time to be someone who likes using a pencil and paper.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's always been exciting to use a pen and paper, it seems to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one last question then. If you were to offer a bit of advice to a rookie CEO who's just starting out, I mean, what would you tell them?
I would say that what most people, oh, I don't know what most people say. I would just say patience, I think. I mean, it depends on who you are, your personality, and what drives you. But I think the internet makes us feel the sense of expectation that it can all happen tomorrow. Like, hey, you can sell this online and be a millionaire tomorrow. And we
It doesn't
see,
really work that way, though, does it?
no, not in the real world. I mean, yes, some people will have that happen to them, and kudos, like, good for you. But I think when you really just slow down and ask yourself what you want your day-to-day life to look like, I think that is the answer. That's what's changed my life very much, is to say, I want to be with my children. I want to make enough money to go on vacation a couple of times. I want to make a positive impact in people's lives. Okay, you have your ethos of what you want, but how does my like day-to-day look like? Is it 4 hours at home? Is it all day at home? And when you can really organize that, I think it makes whatever business you want to do, whatever accomplishments you want to have, grounded in a reality of day to day. When you say, I want $1 million or I want a company like this, well, that's excluding all the time it takes to get there. I think if you can focus on your day to day and what that looks like, it's much more easy to stay committed, to stay focused, and to stay grounded with what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
I mean, I think it's interesting. What was going through my mind as you were speaking is there's a lot to be said for kind of slowing down.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's like the tortoise and the hare, and you kind of go faster if you slow down. Oddly,
Oh,
I think
so true.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just another sign of internet culture, that it's so fast, it's so stimulating that we feel we need to do that. Like if you're sitting still, you feel all of a sudden nowadays like you're not doing something, and that's a bad thing. Well, before there was the internet, you would just sit down and relax, or you would grab a book, or you'd go for a walk. So I think it's just reconnecting with the things that make us happy little human beings. A little bit of nature, a little bit of walking around. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, good advice that. I mean, I'm great. I mean, I would say this being a mountaineer, I'm a great believer in being out in nature, whether it's
Yeah,
trekking up a hill or walking through a field. It's great to be outside and it's great to experience the real world. Because
absolutely.
it's a fabulous planet, isn't it? Really? Graham, thank you for making a bit of time to come and talk about what you do. I think it's fabulous, actually, and I love the fact that it's kind of going back to pencil and paper or pen and paper, because I'm a big fan of that. I mean, I'm a notebook person.
Yeah.
That's how I describe myself. And I think it's great that you're building a business out of doing that. And I think it'll have. I mean, my take on it is that it'll have a really positive effect on people. So, thanks for coming and telling us about it. I love the fact that it's that you're zigging as the world's zagging. I think it's a fabulous thing. So thanks for
Well,
making a bit of time to come and have a chat with us.
Paula, big thanks for what you're doing as well. I think spotlighting people from all different walks is a wonderful thing, and I wish you nothing but the best of success as you keep going.
Thanks, Graham. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it, friend. Thanks, Paul.
Bye bye.